Blessings and welcome to How to Master the Autumn Manifestation 2.0. This amazing journey that we have begun in learning to master, in learning to become conscious co-creators of our lives, to allow for the good that we wish to experience and much, much beyond to come into our lives with every increasing ease and grace, with a beautiful flow, to learning to release struggle and efforting and trying to make it happen, and thus cruising, raising ourselves up to the level where we cruise on the manifestation that is always happening. So my name is Daniel Roquillo, and I'm very grateful that you're here, that you're choosing to tune in, that you're still here. As we have come a bit into this course, and as we have begun to challenge the egoic structures, saying that we would much rather blame others for our lives, assume the victim role, or put on the victim cloak so that we do not need to take responsibility for our lives. As we're beginning to challenge these, we talked about in the last couple of sessions that this is hard work and that we need to choose it. There's not going to be anyone else coming in like a white knight on shining armor, just riding in to save us, like that princess in the stories and the fairy tales. There's not going to be a white knight coming to save us, other than us saving us, other than us setting ourselves free. Free to soar, free to shine, free to glow, free to forever allow for greater and grander expressions of who and what we are to emerge from within. And all of this with ever increasing ease and grace. So I'm happy that you're still here, and I'm grateful that you are here, that you're willing to do this work, that you're willing to join me on this beautiful ride, because it is a beautiful ride. And even though it is hard work, the benefits and the rewards and the gifts and the blessings that come from us doing this work, they are beyond imagination, they are beyond description. I mean, I have been on this path for many years, and I cannot even begin. Literally, I cannot even begin to describe how much my life has changed, and it just continues to change, no matter how far I go, no matter how much good comes into my life. It just keeps on flowing in ever greater ways, in ever faster ways. So this is an eternal journey for which I'm very grateful. There's no real beginning, and there's definitely no ending to it. So it's a beautiful ride. Today we are making a pit stop on the theme of freedom. And the topic for today, the title of today's session is Free as a Bird. And I will always remember sitting out on the deck of my house last summer. I was just sitting there having what I call a moment in between, having what I call a breathing space, which is a space where I put aside all tasks, I put aside all doings, I just have a moment with myself, for myself. And so I was sitting in my chair, looking out over the fields, looking out over the lake, and I was observing a bird. A bird came into my line of sight, and I began watching it. It was flying across the fields. And what seemed to me as being very sudden, this bird suddenly just took off. It was flying in a straight line, and all of a sudden it just took off to the left or the right. I don't remember, but it just swerved. It just took off in a completely different direction, a completely new direction. And obviously I have no idea of knowing what was going on in the mind of this bird, why the suddenness of this turn. But it was such a beautiful reminder to me, and I still remember it, as I said, it was such a beautiful reminder that the freedom that this bird gave voice to, that it gave expression to, that this freedom is innately within every single one of us. That in every single moment, every single one of us has the ability to make a new choice, has the ability to make a higher choice. We all have the ability to make a choice that we perhaps have never made before. We all have the ability to choose to take our lives in a new direction. And as we will explore more in later sessions, many of us, we stop ourselves from making these choices because we don't know how. We don't know how to get from here to there. We doubt our own ability to have what it takes to take off in this new direction, to move in this new direction. We doubt the friendliness of life, the benevolence of life. We perhaps are so held hostage or hijacked by the notion, the belief that life is supposed to be hard, that life is against us, that life is an obstacle course, that we are supposed to struggle, that we have been given a particular lot in life, and that we are here to endure that lot and to make the best of it. But that's not what Spirit has intended for us. That's not there is no predetermined destiny for any single one of us. But our destiny is determined by the choices that we are making, the moment-to-moment choices that we are making. And as we have explored over these last couple of sessions, in any given moment, we are free to think of whatever we want to think of. We are free to turn our attention in whichever direction we want to turn our attention to, right? Which allows us and which brings us to the conclusion that we are free to make any choice that we want to make in any given moment. And it doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter if we don't know how to get from here to there. It doesn't matter if we don't have the resources. It doesn't matter if we don't have the time. It doesn't matter if we don't have the knowledge. All that matters, all these sacred laws care about, is what we are presenting in this now moment. Remember the analogy of the mirror? That the moment we exchange the red balloon in our right hand, I believe it was, for the blue balloon in our left hand, in that moment, the reflection is changed. Well, guess what? In this infinite mind of this loving presence that is all there is, regardless of what we call it, regardless of what we believe of it, regardless of what we perceive of it, in this infinite mind, every single possibility exists. As for this particular bird that was flying across this field, it could have taken off in any direction. Now, for some reason, it chose to take off in this direction that it took off in, but it could have taken off in any direction. There were no limitations to in which direction this bird could have taken off or flown. And so there are no limitations to the choices that we can make, because every single possibility for each and every single one of our lives, each and every single moment, exists in this infinite mind. This infinite mind, there's nothing outside of it. There's not this infinite mind. There's not this one and only mind and something else. There are no opposites. There are no duplications. There is this one mind, and we are all expressions and emanations of it. We are it experiencing itself. We would have no life if it wasn't for this one mind. And every single possibility for each and every single one of our lives exists as potential in this infinite mind. And every time we make a choice, every single time that we make a choice, we are locking on to one of these possibilities. we are beginning to move in the direction of that possibility. Imagine for a moment standing on the shore of a vast lake. Now, we are standing in a specific spot, and that spot represents where we are now, currently in our lives, right? But from this specific spot, on the shore of this particular lake, we can move in whichever direction. We can set our course to whichever spot on any other shore of this lake. There may be obstacles in our way that we need to navigate through and around, not necessarily through, but at least around. But there's nothing saying that we cannot take our boats, that we cannot get into our boat and steer in whichever direction. We can go to wherever we want to go to along the shores of this lake, and obviously beyond once we get to that particular spot. But if we're using the lake as the analogy for life, there's nothing preventing any of us. There's nothing keeping any of us in our current conditions and experiences other than our own limitations, the limitations that we buy into, that we identify ourselves with, that we attach ourselves to in our own minds. We really need to get this. In every single moment, we are free as this bird. If we are driving down the highway or the freeway, we are free to every time we get to an off-ramp, we are free to exit the freeway. Now, the difference between the freeway and our lives is that the freeway has built-in off and on ramps to it. So there is a certain limitation built into the freeway. But we, in this now moment, can make any choice. We can, in this now moment, begin to move towards greater health. We can, in this now moment, make the choice to begin to live a healthier life. We can, in this now moment, begin to make the choice to know more peace in our lives. We can, in this now moment, begin to allow for more joy to well up from within us in our lives. We can, in this now moment, begin to make the choice to begin to experience more financial abundance in our lives. The ego, yes, it will serve us all these excuses. I don't know how. You are not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not educated enough. You don't have enough. You don't have enough of this. You don't have enough of that. You are too much of this. You're too much of this. Too skinny, too white, too black, too gay, whatever the case may be. All these stories, yes, I know they're here. But we do not need to listen to these stories. We do not need to give these stories power over us. They do not limit us unless we give them power to, unless we allow them to, unless we give them permission to. So as we in the next section begin to catch the lighthouse, the beacon, the intention, the vision, the goal, the dream for our lives, that will be the direction in which we're moving, I want us to already be fully prepared and fully clear on that there are no limitations in creation. I mean, have you looked at creation? Have you looked at the abundance in nature, the uniqueness in nature, the creatures? And I'm not only speaking about this one planet, but I'm speaking about creation. I mean, the number of planets, the number of stars, the number of worlds, the number of galaxies and universes. Nowhere in all of creation is there limitation built into it. We, having been given this beautiful mind of ours, it is also our as well as it is our biggest blessing, it is our greatest curse. Because we get to, an animal Nothing in nature has a built-in no to it. A tree cannot say, no, I'm not going to be a tree. A tulip cannot say, no, I'm not going to be a tulip. A lilac seed cannot say, I'm not going to unfold into a lilac bush. There is no built into nature. There's no built into creation. But this beautiful, reflective, independent mind of ours that can roam free, that can move in whichever direction it chooses, that can turn its attention in whichever direction it chooses, there's a built-in limitation into it. We need to shatter these limitations. We need to shatter the stories that we are telling ourselves as to why we cannot do it, why we cannot make it, why we need to stay just enduring this lot that we've been given, why we need to move in the direction of this predetermined destiny that we have attached ourselves to. There's no predetermination anywhere. The only thing that is constant is change in this whole universe. Everything is in an eternal state of changing, expanding, unfolding, which is the purpose of life, which is the purpose that we are here, you and I, for this loving presence, whatever we choose to call it, for it to come into ever greater and grander expressions of itself. And it will not come into ever greater and grander expressions of itself if we keep moving in the same direction that we have always been moving in, that we may have been moving in for decades. If we keep making the same old choices that we've been making for years and years and years, there's no expansion in that. There's no growth in that. There's no freedom in that. And freedom is inherent. We've been given this beautiful mind so that we may explore the freedom, so that we may push past our boundaries, so that we may continuously allow for the next great and grand version of who we are, so that we may continuously move outside of the comfort, the familiar, and move into uncharted territory. We want to shatter the limitations that we have placed on ourselves. We may have got them from the world. We may have inherited these from our parents or our guardians or society or culture or whatever. But they are not. No one outside of ourselves are keeping these in check. No one outside of ourselves are keeping these in place. We are all free as this bird, not going to be, not was at some point. We are now. In this now moment, in every single moment, because every single moment is a starting point, a moment for us to choose again, to choose anew. And the moment we make a new choice, a higher choice, in that moment, our lives, the trajectory of our lives has shifted. And as God is not ever about quantity, but all about quality, it doesn't matter if the choice that we just made was just a tiny little tweak, was just tiny little different from previous choices. The moment we make a new choice, the moment we change something, anything, everything begins to change in our lives. Imagine commandeering a rocket or a spaceship, and let's say that we're going to Mars. Now, the distance from Earth to Mars, it's vast. I mean, it's Mars is far, far, far away. So even like 1,000 of a degree deviation from the course to Mars will put us on a course that moves us way, way, way past Mars. The tiniest little deviance would put us on a completely new course. So it's not about making big choices. If we're inspired to, we're absolutely invited to make big choices, but it is not about quantity. It is about quality. It is about making new choices. And we are so wise, and we're all invited to make one new choice every single day. One new choice that moves us, that moves our lives in a new direction every single day. To break free from habitual patterns, to break free from the norm, to break free from the herd consciousness, this collective human consciousness that is insane. That is insane. It is time for us to break free from the insanity. It is time for us to set ourselves free. And the way we set ourselves free is by making new choices, by making higher choices. Just as that bird suddenly made the choice to fly in a completely new direction, so do we have the freedom to make new choices in this now moment. So that's, as we're coming to the close, where this session is concerned, that's the invitation for us to become aware of the choices that we're making, to turn our attention toward the choices that we're making. For a day, just study ourselves. Which are the choices that we are making? Are we making conscious choices? Or are we just making the same habitual, repetitive choices that we've been making for years and years and years, for as long as we can remember? And we don't need to know why we've been making these same old choices. Why is not important at all. It might be interesting, but it's not important. The only thing that is important is which choice or what choices am I making now? So that is the question, or these are the questions. This choice that I'm about to make, or this choice that I just made, is this in alignment with what I wish to experience? Is this a high choice? Is this a conscious choice? Or is this a choice made out of fear or worry or doubt, out of habit, out of anxiety, out of a sense of lack and scarcity, separation? We want to make conscious choices, and we want to make sure that the choices that we're making, that they are in alignment with what we wish to experience, so that we, moment by moment by moment, day by day by day, week by week by week, month by month by month, year by year by year, consciously move in the direction of the good that we wish to experience. Consciously move in the direction of our dreams, goals, visions, intentions. Moment to moment choices. We're all free as a bird to make any choice in any given moment. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and step into living our lives more consciously than we've ever lived them before. Let's go ahead and set ourselves free now. Not wait, not tomorrow, not next week, now, in this now moment. Thank you so much for joining me, for tuning in. Until we meet again, I absolutely bless our days. I bless our ways. I know that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for our highest good. With much love, many blessings. Namaste.